Spirit in Mind. Listen, would you let somebody know that it is time for Spirit in Mind? Yes, it's time for Spirit in Mind. You can join us live here at the studios of Praise 106. You can call in 443-380-2803. We welcome your insight and input when we get into our content for today. And of course, Spirit in Mind, not the Spirit in Mind, without our colleague and co host, Dr. Jonathan Shepard. Hello, Dr. Shepard.
Hey, and good afternoon to everyone out there. Thank you, Bishop, and we're so glad to be with you all today.
We certainly trust that you have had a blessed week, and we look forward to getting into our content in just a few moments. But again, let someone know, like, share, or get somebody on the phone. Say, hey, it's time for Spirit in Mind. And of course, we are blessed by the connection in the several ways that we can stay connected. Again, we want the numbers 443-380-2803. You can join us right here live at the studio, and the other ways we can stay connected between our Spirit and Mind episodes. And Dr. Shepard is going to share some of those ways right now.
Absolutely. And so we are so glad, elated, excited that you are joining us once again. And I'm loving the feedback that we continue to get each week. Love to hear from so many of you all and I'm loving the new members, the new people who are saying that they are listening. And so we're so happy that you're joining us today. People across the country, I'm getting messages from. And so thank you for the new members. Thank you for those who are listening to us and even watching us. You can watch and listen at the same time. Isn't that wonderful? You can go to our YouTube pages. You can go to our Facebook pages, social media pages. You can find Bishop Seaguy Robinson. He is a noted author, pastor, who is just doing wonderful things, wonderful things. You know, he has a new book out, you all. I bought all 5 copies of it today because I want to have him sign them. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're so excited about the product that he has produced, and so we know that it will be a blessing to you. He's also the pastor of the Tabernacle of the Lord Church, 2100 West Baltimore Street. So you can go over there, enjoy the Sunday or the services that they engage in on a weekly basis. So I know that you will not be disappointed. I've been there personally, so I can attest to it that you will not be disappointed. And so we want you all to know that Bishop C.R. Robinson, CGR Ministries, that's the handle that you can find many of his products or many of his pages under CGR Ministries. I'm sure he will love you to go over there and see the various things that he has going on. So want to make sure we put that up. And then for myself, you can go to drjonathanshepard.com. That's my website. If you are in need of direct care services or in need of a speaker for symposiums that you have coming up regarding mental wellness, Bishop does that also. But I just want to let people know that if you are in need of those type of services, it's so interesting. I'm being hit up by different corporations, organizations, really dealing with black men's health recently. I just want to put that out there. That has been one of the more common scenarios that I've been asked to speak upon recently. And so we want to make sure that people know that there are resources, that there are people who are apt to be able to talk on these various issues, to be able to make sure that our people are well. So if you're in need of those direct care services, whether it be in Maryland, whether it be in the District of Columbia, or anywhere, you can hit me up, drjonathanshepard.com. And at some point, I'll be able to have my written material also for you. Don't count me out this year in 2024, but it's going to come. But I tell you, we want to make sure that you stay connected to us. And so, Bishop, I'm going to turn it back over to you. We want to hear more about the book, and I want to make sure that we get these books signed today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Shepard, and thank you to everyone for your prayers and for your support. In fact, if you are available and anywhere in the Baltimore, Washington area, Mid Atlantic, even on this coming Wednesday, the 17th. And again, we're sharing that for the sake of this book. But if you're anywhere in the area on the 17th, of this month, Wednesday, July 17th. We want to invite you to meet us at the Tabernacle, 2100 West Baltimore Street at 7 p.m. for our official release. And I'll be there to sign, and we'll be discussing some of the content of the Soul Care Birthright, which is our latest book that we were blessed to write. And so it's subtitled The Theology of Mental Health for Ministerial Practice. And so it deals with, again, some important issues in being in serving the kingdom as first responders and as a part of the psychological wellness community and the holistic wellness community. So we want to encourage you to get it. We'll be looking at it. It addresses, maybe some people don't know, why is it such a strain? Why are we talking about reconciling and putting in collaboration? So we talk a little bit about how that relationship evolved over the years and what we're doing now, the great things to reconcile, to work together, to be a part of the same wellness community, so that we can do what the scripture says in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, experience the holistic wellness of God, spirit, soul, and body. So I want to encourage you to get your copy. It's on Amazon, all the major bookstores and booksellers. It's in hard copy if you prefer that. It's also in digital format. If you like to download your Kindle or Apple Books version, you can do that as well. The Soul Care Birthright, a theology of mental health for ministerial practice. In fact, you just put my name in, and some of the other books will come up. Maybe you didn't get critical collaboration yet. We want to encourage you to do that. And thank you for your prayers and support.
Yeah, so please, I want to see you there on Wednesday, July 17th. I have it in my calendar to be there, and I'll have my books already signed before you all get there, hopefully. But I want us to support Bishop Robinson. We thank you. This is a community. This is a faith community, which is ever growing, and we want to make sure that we're supporting Bishop Robinson in this endeavor. Again, that's Wednesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. Bring your book with you. And if you be like me, I'm going to try to see if I can finish all of it by Wednesday, the 17th. If not, still come on through. And I'm sure you will be blessed by that. Bishop, we're ready to go.
Yes. Yes. We've been talking about transitions because, again, transitions are part of life. I've said several times through this series, the hymn writer said, time is filled with swift transition. The constant is to be able to hold to God's unchanging hand. And so, of course, it was Aristotle who said that God is the unmoved mover, who is constant in the midst of change. And so, again, in the scriptures say, we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. And so we've been talking about transitions and going through the changes of life. We are not just human beings, but we are human becomings. For the scripture says it does not yet appear. Now are we children of God. God loves us and claims us as his children now. And yet at the same time, he has us in the transformational process because it does not yet appear what we shall be. So we're not just human beings, but we are human becomings, is what the Epistle of John tells us. And so we've been talking about transitions, and transitions have many forms. Of course, sometimes transitions come through traumatic experiences. Other times transitions come just in the normal developmental stages and phases of life. Transition manifests in changing schools, changing jobs. We just had a lot of people to graduate. I'm thinking on the ride over Dr. Shepherd, which means this coming fall, not many weeks from now, they'll be starting in new places on campuses, maybe moving from middle school to high school and the like. And so we've been talking about how to deal with those challenges. We've been using some examples of change and traumatic change, the key bridge developmental process, the traumatic experience, the event, the experience, and the effects of that traumatic moment. And so now we're going to move forward. Dr. Shepherd is going to take us more into today's content.
Absolutely. And so thank you for those who are watching, and thank you, Cynthia Hackshaw. Thank you, Alva Richardson, who are coming up on my feed. And I know there's more of you all who are out there who are listening and watching. And isn't it amazing that really for almost the whole calendar year, we're coming up about 10 months now that we've been dealing with the overarching theme of transitions. And so this is amazing how much you can pull just from that one word and just from that one series. And recently, probably for the last 3 to 4 months now, we've been dealing with how to live in the new place once you've made that transition, how to be able to live in that place once you have arrived there. You know, the last month or so, we've been talking about the need for healing, the need for strengthening, and then the need for stretching. And we've been really, really focused on the healing piece. And Bishop, I would say this, just even as a way of setting forth for the conversation today. This past week, I really have been listening, even to myself and to others who've been watching and listening to the show. It's amazing how we get stirred in our minds, stirred in our souls, if you would, soul, mind. And I'm thankful for this show because it really has been able to stir me up. I think about when the show started in the pandemic and where so many people were stagnant. We got stagnant because we didn't have that much to do. We got stuck in our own homes, had to isolate. And this past week, it really, I took some time just to sit down and reflect and listen to myself, just as we said on the show. You know, it's one thing to be able to espouse the advice, but to actually sit down and actually apply it. And I did that this past week. And I was really just listening and, you know, checking myself and listening to my thoughts as I was going through. Yes, you can listen to your thoughts. Some of us need to do that
Mhm.
and check it out. Yes, you can do that. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, this has been amazing how this show has stirred me up, to be honest with you, so that I would not be stagnant. And I've heard that from some other people as they've listened to this show. And I just wanted to thank you, Bishop. I want to thank you, all listeners, for, again, I'm having a transparent moment here. Thank you for stirring me up because in that stir, it allows for me to continue to grow. It allows for me to continue to move forward. It allows for you all to continue to grow. It allows for you all to continue to move forward and make transitions. And so, as you make those transitions, you will grow and do better and move into different places. And so, that's one of the things that I really want to start today and kind of hang our hat on is that when you find yourself in that transitional season, transitional place, and you arrive there, make sure that you take some time. And we've said this before, but it's hitting me again today. To make sure you take some time to look back over how you got to where you're at. And once you get there, recognize that there may be some times where you need healing, or you need to take that time to mend together. And if you don't do that, if you stay stagnant, what happens with stagnant water? It begins to stink. It begins to become gross looking. And so you want to make sure that once you arrive in that new place, just don't fall out and say, "Man, I arrived." Or the flip side is sometimes we end up in a new place and we didn't want to get there. Bishop mentioned that. Sometimes we're in a new place because of a divorce. We're in a new place because of a loss. We're in a new place because of grief, and it will literally shut you down. Baltimore, we were in a new place because the bridge collapsed. The Scott Key Bridge collapsed. We were in a new place because of that, new traffic patterns, all those different things. And so I just wanted to start there today, making sure that we allow ourselves to continue to be stirred up through the information that is occurring through this programming. And I wanted to have that thank you a little bit longer than what I expected, Bishop, but I wanted us to say thank you because this really has been a season where hearing the knowledge, hearing the information, and making sure that I'm stirred up, that you're stirred up as we have heard, and that to not let those waters stay stagnant.
Wow, that Dr. Shepard, I want to thank you for sharing that. This is our, I guess, transparent moment. That is so in line. I didn't know that you were even going to share your personal experience with stagnation and moving forward and the risk of stagnation. Some of the persons watching today may be part of the Tabernacle circle or cycle, part of even friends who've watched this past Sunday, last Sunday. The Lord shared with us Moses was at the Red Sea, Pharaoh's army behind him, and the Lord says, "Stretch your hand," and it's literally a choice. He says, "You will either stretch, or you will stay stuck and become stagnant."
Wow.
Um, um, if you stay stagnant, your past is going to catch up with you.
Wow.
And you're going to repeat the same history.
Mhm.
And even when the person is in bed for too long, a
Yes.
good medical attendant will come and reposition
That's
you
right.
because bed sores will
Right.
settle in. And so, at some point, the discomfort of progress has got to be worth it, because it's either the discomfort of progress or the wounds of stagnation.
Wow.
Stretch or get stuck is
Wow.
is what the Lord told Moses. And so, you may be in a season when it feels like you're being stretched. And I just want to encourage you that the stretching doesn't mean it's not God.
That's right.
We're growing in grace and in the knowledge of Jesus Christ, and so He's taking us from glory to glory and from faith to faith. And keep stretching, so that your past doesn't catch up with you.
Yeah.
You don't repeat the same stuff. Pharaoh, if he caught up with them, was going to take them right back to the same old stuff. And so, this season, appreciate the season of stretching.
Yes, sir.
Um, and that's the part of it that is so very important. Had no idea you were going there, but that's where we are. The Lord is stretching us at the tabernacle
Wow.
in various ways. We have different ways, and the way I'm being stretched might not be the way you're being stretched, but there's a blessing in the stretching.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And that's why I love the connection. I love the vibe between myself and Bishop and with our audience, and that's why we flow. And I'm thankful and for the transparency and for you all to again share with us. I wrote in the comment the discomfort of progress or the wound of stagnation. You really should type that out if you're listening. Which one do you prefer? The discomfort of progress or the wound of stagnation? Now, the interesting part about that, the discomfort of progress, both of them, you may incur some pain.
Hmm.
hmm Yeah, I mean, when you stretch out your muscles, uh, that there will be pain because those muscles are used to being in that configuration. They're used to being in that formation. They're used to being in that shape. So when you stretch, or so when you move into a new place, yes, there's going to be some pain that goes along with it. That's why growing pains, as that is true. But the pain of stagnation, it becomes nasty. And so when you have a wound that does not get cleaned, as Bishop was describing, those decubitus ulcers that will set in when a person stays in a place too long, literally, that is painful. It's a pain that I've heard that many people would not wish on their worst enemy. And when a wound stays like that, it starts to stink. It starts to manifest other things that happen. Pus. And I won't get too graphic here, but just even other insects can be attracted to
Yeah,
that. You know?
opportunistic organisms and spirits. Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy. That's good. Keep going.
Yes, sir. And thank you. Opportunistic infections, and which is one of the reasons why people don't stay in the hospital too long. So sometimes you wonder why do people get discharged a day or two after they've had a surgery? Because we know that if you stay in that place too long, you'll get sick because there's certain things or bugs, as they say, viruses and bacteria that hang out in hospitals. That if you stay there too long, you're putting yourself at risk of being infected. You're putting yourself at risk of being hurt or harmed. And so we want to make sure that in this healing process, and that's where we really are in this talk, in this journey, that even as you've gone through the journey now, you made the transition to the new place. Whether you got there because you traveled or someone put you there, or life circumstances put you there, you're there now. So we might as well get comfortable with being there. But we want to make sure that while we're there, that we are healing and that we're strengthening our minds. One of the things that also dropped on me, Bishop, really strong is that we have to heal and we have to have peace about where we are too, and have peace about the healing. And so, I love acronyms, and I'm just going to share the acronym, and then I think I'm going to be done with this portion, Bishop. But I was sharing with my youth department at my church about peace, and so many people struggle with having peace. And so I put this acronym together: PEACE. PEACE. Peace stands for prioritizing spending time with God. If you want to have peace, you have to prioritize spending time with God. E, you have to embrace rest. That means you got to stop and actually calm down and chill out. Actually, that's C on there on my acronym. I want to get to that. But P is prioritizing time with God. E is embracing rest. A is actively trusting sound guidance. C is calming down and chill out, like I just said. And the last E is enjoy the moment and avoid the tomorrow trap. And that is huge. Many of us get stuck in as we're transitioning. My God, what's tomorrow going to bring? And so, in that healing place, yes, your past definitely can hang on to you, but don't forget, many of us we forget that tomorrow trap is huge too, where we
Yep.
sit there and we worry so much about what's next that we don't even get a chance to enjoy the moment, and that's what will rob us of our peace as we get to that new place.
Absolutely. Anxiety on one side, worrying about tomorrow, getting stuck, and this is just and I appreciate Monica putting in our chat line, stretch or get stuck.
Mhm.
That clearly registered. It's also reminiscent. We used Moses for that example,
Yeah.
but sometimes the only viable option is to move forward. The
Mhm.
help is to embrace the transition, is to embrace the risk. And while we were talking, what came to mind for me was Second Kings 7, when there are four leprous men sitting at
Oh,
the gate,
yeah.
and they say something critical. They say, "Why sit we here and die?
Right.
If we go backwards, there's a famine
Right.
there. Nothing behind me but famine.
Mhm.
I accept that where I've come from is no longer a viable place for me to stay in. Something would be wrong with us if we go backwards." And then he said, if we stay sitting here, then in this moment, then we will allow, if you will, the freeze trauma response from the famine to keep us stuck. Because sometimes being immobilized is a freeze trauma response. I'm stuck. I'm stuck because I've been through a famine and I survived. I made it to the gate. I made it outside the city. Uh, but what happened back there has got me stuck.
Wow.
I'm frozen. It's a trauma response. But he begins to think about it and say, if I stay here, if I stay in this frozen state, if I stay here, just stuck, I'm going to die here. He says, if I go backwards, that's not viable
Mhm.
either. What's ahead is uncertain, but it's the best viable option. It's a
Love it.
calculated risk.
Whew.
It's not a foolish risk. It means I'm not living in denial. I'm aware that there are some unknowns, but I'm stepping out on faith. Dr. Martin Luther King said faith is taking the next step when you can't see the rest of the staircase. And so it is, I'm moving by faith. Dr. Joe Ratcliffe famously said that wherever you see faith in the Bible, you can put the word risk. And it says Hebrews 11, now risk is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. By taking a risk, the elders obtained a good report.
Yes.
Uh, but it's not a foolish risk.
Right.
In critical thinking, there's a difference. If you allow me to put on my critical thinking instructor hat, in critical thinking, there is a difference between a foolish risk and a calculated risk.
Yes.
A calculated risk means I'm aware of the statistical odds. I'm aware of the fact that I don't have all the answers. I'm the kind of person that would like to have all my ducks in a row. But right now, God has my next step, like He told Abraham, go into a place and I'll show you what you need to know
Mhm.
on a need to know basis. So now God has me where my next step is to step, and He's going to give me revelation on a need to know basis. So I'm not moving foolishly, I'm making a calculated risk. Let us go, they said. We can't sit here and die. We got to go. We're going into the enemy's camp, which means there's some risk. But I choose to believe that if whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen to me trying to become my next and not dying in my now. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Trevor, you got it.
well, I just want to say thank you all for joining us. I know we are at the end of our show. Thank you all. I feel Bishop being stirred up, and so keep praying that we'll get some more time on this air so we can be able to finish Bishop. All right. Well, please know that we are so appreciative that you all have been tuning in to us, and so we will see you all next time on Spirit in Mind.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at Spirit in Mind, and we're also on Instagram at Spirit in Mind Live. Join us next time for a new episode of Spirit in Mind.
This program